For context on this video, Jamaican Hedgie made a video on only Jesper Fish Lizard. Minty's section involves bringing up previous incidents to use me against Jesp, pushing the Akumu not valid source and trying to push that I am either responsible or the start of Fish Lizard's supposed downfall.
Jesp.
Hello, it's me, Minty, and today I wanted to basically come and say my experiences with Jess, just to kind of help back up and validate some of Jamaican Hedgie's claims about Jesp and some of the things that she has been doing that is extremely wilding. Now, I didn't really have any sort of opinion on Jesp. I barely knew her until we kind of became friends. This was shortly after the Toby Majestic video that I did, that essentially, it kind of had to do in order to help vindicate a few of my friends who had been directly targeted by Toby. So, kind of by association, I was definitely involved in the drama, not necessarily wanting to be, but Jesp approached me in the DMs, basically saying that she really loved my video, she wanted to come and ask me for advice. Of all people, I was quite honored to help her formulate her script for her video on the Toby Majestic drama. Now, mind you, at this point, I kind of was a little bit uneasy, a little bit curious as to why she wanted to make a video when a lot of my video and a few other people who were involved in the drama at the time made their videos already, and I didn't see, well, maybe, I thought in the back of my head that maybe Jesp had something to add that I just didn't know about. So she made her script. It was about 80 something pages, maybe 87, 86 pages, and I read through most of it to the point where I pretty much said, you know, so far so good, when she kept giving me progress on different things in the doc, and then finally she got to a point where she was involving people who were quite malicious and weren't helping her cause. Now, at the same time, when she was doing the Toby Majestic video, she was also wanting to incorporate a person who was also involved in the Toby Majestic drama, Toasty Vanilla. And at the time, me and Toasty Vanilla were not really talking, but he did reconcile with the whole thing that he did within the Toby Majestic drama, so I didn't have any sort of particular bias for or against him. I just wanted, like she said, to get the facts out. And she was very fixated on the idea that Toasty Vanilla might have been a groomer. He was having inappropriate relations with underage people, and I was like, okay, if you have evidence of this, go right ahead and let people know that this is the truth. But things started to get a little funky in the roadblock. She started using people like a YouTube commentator by the name of Akumu, who is a, I believe, 16, 17-year-old commentator who has a history of gathering up people who he considers to be his, like, soldiers. He kind of breeds like an anime villain and basically would go around falsely accusing people of things, cutting up clips of audio to make himself look better, as well as him and his subordinates often secretly recording people's conversations without their consent or permission. And this was very concerning to me because she was using this person as a direct source to cite her claims against Toasty Vanilla, as well as some of her other things.
When she says vindicate a few of her friends who had been targeted by Toby, attacked by Lucy and Toasty, she's referring to Ben the Looney. This is important for later because Minty intentionally leaves out and alters details to use me against Jesp. So, correcting her misinformation, I was not Jesp's source for the grooming claim against Toasty. My video was made to show how Toasty was just another hypocrite who flip-flopped on his views whenever it benefited him, and liked some questionable shit. My Toasty video didn't even make the claim Toasty was a groomer. So how would Jesp use me as a source for said claim if I, in my video, never made the claim, and it was never present in the video? The claim that he was a groomer originated from Teddy That Draws and Madlibs, and unironically, she deems Madlibs as a valid source. As well, legally speaking, I am capable of using those calls due to the consent laws for everyone. The others that were used were from Toasty's public Discord server. This notion that my friends or associates are soldiers of mine is ridiculous. It has been a narrative spun by people like her to try and associate me further with some malicious entity, while at the same time making a joke out of it, that I'm some anime villain, despite the fact most of what I've dug up has been on my own aside from a few times my associates have helped, which was mostly during the Toby and Toasty stuff. Sure, you can call me malicious, but it's using the truth of someone's actions that ends up making me malicious and effective as I am. Her claim that I have some history of this, when it was only the Toasty drama that calls were recorded. What have I falsely accused anyone of? Go on, list some examples. If I edited the call to make myself look better, why would I leave in the mistakes that came from my own party? Like when he was called a pedo, and I corrected that. Regarding the major call towards the end, I didn't even know that my friends were doing it. When I first joined, I had no idea what the fuck was happening. They went and started shit in his Discord on their own volition, which led into the Discord call. I even left in the part where I told him it wasn't being recorded because I wasn't recording and didn't know that someone else in the call was recording it. If the goal was to make myself look better, I would have hidden these things. I was just source for his flip-flopping in the bin drama, not the grooming claim. And Minty is aware of who actually was the source for that. She's literally just trying to pin something that wasn't on me for the sake of this video.
And I warned her initially about doing so, but she kind of brushed me off and didn't really pay much mind to me. So the real issue I only had with her was when she got into a Discord call with Akumu, his partner at the time, and some other people who were in there. Mind you, I ended up making friends with one of the people in there. They were pretty chill to me. These were a bunch of kids, mind you, trying to gang up on adults, and essentially they wanted to have like a private call with me. Mind you, I was a little bit busy. I was either asleep or occupied with something at the moment, so I couldn't come to Jess' response right away. She decided to seek out another friend who I personally trusted, and she personally knew my social media, to try and get my personal information without my consent, because she was so anxious to get on Akumu and the other people in that group's good side to try and basically get to talking to me without being patient.
She's now framing it as though her mere disagreement with Jesp is what sparked the conflict between us and her, while leaving out information to the audience. This is a lie by omission. What actually happened, when Fish Lizard's video on Toby and Toasty came out, she went to her and tried to push that I wasn't a good source, that my video was somehow lies, both in the comment section and even going as far as trying to dig up shit on someone who associates with me, and send it to Jesp. She went out of her way to take a screenshot of an art piece Foxton made and sent it to Jesp to misinterpret it, because she was that desperate to make us look bad. She went at Foxton, insisting that her body appreciation post that she asked Teddy if she could post in her art channel was somehow baiting adults. When confronted, she claimed that we were a group of groomers, or had groomers, that I was called out for lying, even though I really haven't been, each time has been debunked with evidence, then said I was borderline doxing people. This claim came from Madlibs. Here she is using Madlibs as a credible source, despite the fact that Madlibs is the origin of the thing she's claiming I was the source of. What's even funnier is the group chat she refers to was when she was confronted by both us and Teddy for starting these things. She hushed up and then deleted the thread these comments were from. It's too bad that I archive everything. I just can't stop myself at times. You never know when some yaoi-loving loser tries to lie about events and throw someone under the bus. Minty was also aware, like I said previously, that it was Teddy who was the source of the claim, even discussing it in the group chat with Teddy herself. It starts with Foxton, who calls her cowardly, and she enters the chat stating she isn't, which tells us this account is her. And I only mention Teddy because it was asked in a group how Jesp knew about Toasty harming himself in a vid, and everyone mentioned your name. From what I'm seeing, people have labeled you a huge issue, and also when Yume sent me what Foxton said calling me a bitch as well, lol. I said it's kind of weird because I found out that Teddy's whole boyfriend situation is very dicey and apparently is technically illegal in both countries from what me and my friends looked up later that night. I talked to you when they said the drawings Foxton did of herself in NSFW situations of Teddy's server and her underwear, something most adults agreed was inappropriate because regardless of it being sexual or not, it's NSFW and you knew it was. I found the situation with you already being subjected to potential grooming was odd. You'd allow NSFW of a minor of the same age around adults in a server to be fine and not at the very least cringe. Good friends of Teddy I have talked to have come to me saying they find the relationship groomerish, so I thought it was odd to allow an SFW of a child in your alleged server. Going what Yume sent me in these screenshots. I found it odd is all, and now you guys want me to talk, I guess. She is acknowledging the potential grooming with Teddy, clearly showing she is aware Teddy was the source of this claim. The grooming in regards to Teddy is brought up again when she responds to her with, I mean, if he's actually groomed you, you should let it be known, especially if it's evidence. Again, showing she is clearly aware that Teddy was the one allegedly groomed by Toasty, and the source of this claim. The messages are a bit fucked because both Minty and Teddy deleted their original Discord accounts. However, the way they type helps with identifying the two. We also have DMs with Minty and Vera verifying it's her. If that's not enough, a screenshot before she deleted her account and a screenshot after of the same message should suffice. One more thing I should probably address. This whole Jess was trying to give us her personal information because she was trying to please her new crowd. No, she didn't try and give us anything. We never asked for your Instagram or whatever or other stuff, and she never offered to give us that information. So, for the benefit of the argument, let's say Jess did do this, because I don't know. Nor do I trust you so far. Let's say Jess did. She never once brought it up to us. We didn't ask for it, so she's probably asking so that she could get into contact with you there if Twitter wasn't working. So far, someone here is making some kind of assumption or correlation that just doesn't match with what actually happened, because we didn't ask for anything, she didn't offer anything regarding personal information. So this whole thing of Jesp trying to dox me, she tried to dox me to a Kumu, it's fucking ridiculous. Seriously. If you're going to make these kind of statements and whatnot, and you want to talk about reliable source and reliable this and reliable that, you should probably verify your information with all of the parties involved before kind of doing this.
I found this a direct violation of my privacy. As soon as I found out that that's what she was trying to do, I immediately told Jess, stop doing that, do not do that, as well as my friend who essentially let me know that I didn't give out any information because it didn't feel right to me. And I'm just grateful that my friend was smart enough to not give away any sort of information about me, and I definitely let Jess have it. It was very concerning to me, especially when I kept trying to tell her, if you have evidence regarding the Toasty Vanilla drama and Toby Majestic, you need to have it present. You can't have a he said, she said. And of course, regardless of me warning her time and time again, she literally didn't listen to me, and it ended up blowing up in her face when Junkie basically did a whole deep dive on the Toby Majestic drama and involved their snippet with Jesp, and basically pretty much scolded her, and they pretty much got on her for basically doing exactly what I told her was going to happen if she did not have the proper evidence and used people who were not reliable sources.
She's even further trying to pin this on me as a not reliable source, despite the fact I wasn't even the source for the grooming, just a source of his flip-flopping and weird shit. It's this narrative that comes from people like her because they don't like the fact I always back my shit up, archive shit, and have what I'm talking about. This is why people like Junkie, who she conveniently brings up, are so insisting to the audience not to listen to me. It's because I have my archives backed up and ready. Another sweet slice of irony. She deems Junkie as reliable when he also left out context to try and use Toasty as a good source. And Junkie was the one to falsely accuse Fish Lizard of doxing for sharing a GoFundMe, which is the entire premise of GoFundMe, a crowdfunding website. The reason she did it was to commend Luke for doing something good. The act of doxing is to release private information with malicious intent. Sharing a public GoFundMe isn't releasing private info, because it's already publicly on the internet. The neck-bearded Scaly lied, she got dogpiled, and then he admitted days later that it wasn't doxing. This is what Minty deems a credible source. The icing on the cake is the fact that the screenshots I used with Toasty's Twitter, most of them originated from Ben, her friend. He gave me the shit on Toasty that started the early workings of my deep dive. So if my screenshots aren't credible, neither is Ben, who she's friends with. I've done long, lengthy videos containing evidence for days, but people like her ignore them and use videos that are cropped and photoshopped or framing as evidence. Specifically, the Mad Libs video. So instead of using me as a weapon against Jesp and having to lie about it, you should probably provide actual criticism.
So essentially, she had been wilding ever since. She sort of went downhill. I had to deal with another situation where she was going out of her way to try and go punching up to bigger YouTubers, which is something that commentary channels that are small tend to do to get clout. And she was going after people who weren't really a bad person, you know, like she went after Hotbox, who somebody is fairly just one of the least controversial people I've known personally. I've been in calls with Hotbox. He was not a bad person, but she was going out of her way to try and start beef with him over something that she literally could have just DM'd him. I responded to her in DMs. I said, hey, maybe you should just talk it out. Unfortunately, a lot of our conversations were lost to the fact that she went a little bit off the deep end in regards to her mental health, and she ended up deleting a lot of her old account stuff, so I couldn't preserve a lot of this because I wasn't expecting to have to make any sort of speech or testimonial on her. But if I had those receipts, I definitely would show them. But it essentially was quite a volatile state that she was in. I do have the screenshot where she did acknowledge to me personally in recent DMs that that did happen, and she did apologize for it, although that did make me look at her differently in regards to my personal information, that she was willing to give it away to random people who I specifically told her were people who breach privacy and do not have any regard for anyone's privacy. And with that being said, I do hope that this little testimonial in my part of Jamaican Hedgie's video helps to sort of confirm the claims that Jesp has been going on a downward spiral, and I personally think that she should step away from YouTube. I don't want to be a part of this video to basically shame her or have people laugh at her, but to essentially just tell her straight up, you've got to take a break, you've got to stop this, it's getting out of hand, to the point that she is becoming slanderous in her claims of different things, and then she's even aligning herself with people who are quite literally way beyond her best interest. And again, I did try to warn her in the DMs, basically saying, hey, let's not do this, you really just need to take a break. There are people talking, like actual people within like bigger circles talking about you, like saying that you are not good for the community, and I didn't want her, essentially her reputation, to be shattered completely over something that she could literally just back away, stop, and analyze, which is something she ironically criticized Toby for when, you know, she was going through her drama. So I hope if you're watching this, Jesp, which I'm sure you are, I hope you just seek the help that you need and just kind of take a break off the internet. I feel like it's too much for you, it's too much pressure. In my time of knowing you, it seemed like you were quite a gentle soul and that you really need to just step back. And with that being said, I want to hand it back over to Jamaican Hedgie for this. Thank you for having me in your video.
To quote Harvey Dent and Mark Twain, you either die the hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And never argue with stupid people. They will drag you down to their level and then beat you with experience. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you all later. Bye.
The irony in her being so insistent that I am an unreliable source, a malicious entity, and apparently leaving things out, is that she's now shown herself to be an unreliable source, going as far as lying and leaving out details, framing events to make me appear malicious. When you're so driven to make someone else look malicious and unreliable, you unironically make yourself the pretense you tried to frame the other as. Minty is yet another example of projection added on to the others we have discussed on this channel. I know this is short, but I thought I'd rather address this before someone with the tisms hops on it like a bitch in heat. Good game, Minty. Good game.
You've got to take a break. You've got to stop this. It's getting out of hand, to the point that she is becoming slanderous in her claims of different things. And then she's even aligning herself with people who are quite literally way beyond her best interest. And she is becoming slanderous in her claims of different things.
To quote St. Anthony the Great, a time will come when people will go mad. And when they see someone who is not mad, they will mock him, saying, "You are mad. You are not like us."